All right, we're recording. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us. I am super, super, super excited to finally make this conversation happen. I am joined by another one of my amazing clients. I don't think I have clients that are not amazing, so I probably will sound like a broken record, but in my DJ Khaled voice, and another one, okay? So, if you don't know who I am Danielle, the coach. I'm a certified life and leadership coach. I help mid career professionals overcome their personal mid career crisis and pivot powerfully into the life of their wildest dreams. That being said, I am joined today by my amazing client, Dr. Pilanda Watkins Curry, who has been so gracious to take a couple minutes out of her busy life to just share about her experience and working with me and the journey that she's gone on, that she's also enlisted the help of me as her coach. And so we're going to get into the nitty gritty of like where she was when she started, before enlisting my help, the things that she experienced while on her journey, and where she is now. So buckle up. It is going to be an amazing conversation, and I am so honored to call Dr. Watkins Curry my client, and to have gone on this journey with her. That being said, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you got going on?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Pilanda Watkins Curry. Um, Currently, what I do, I'm a chemist by training. I'm a solid state chemist by training. For the past 5 years, I've worked as a senior researcher within the oil industry. So I work for a major oil company where I worked in areas that range from technology and product development. Um, and outside of my normal day-to-day job, which drains the life out of me most days, I am a wife. I've been a wife for now 8 years and a mother of two, which is pretty much my world. I have a 6-year-old. Well, here we go. So I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. And my life is really centered around my family and my career at the moment.
Got you. So, how long would you say you've known me before we started working together?
So I know you through my friend from fourth grade, who is your sister. So that's how I know you, and pretty much how long I would say I've known you. So I've always felt like you guys were like a second family to me. So that's you're like someone that I've known since I was a kid and have, observed me grow up over the years. And so I've always admired you as well, Danielle, and kind of how successful you have been along the way as well. So
The feeling is mutual. It's definitely mutual. So that being said, so you knew me personally, right? But then
yes,
there was this space that I created for myself as a coach.
yes.
And then in learning about me in that capacity, how many times did you hear about, me as a coach and learning about what I've done, whether it was you looking forward or whether something just fell on your lap? How long did you hear or think about working with me before you decided to make that investment?
Well, I kind of observed your journey through social media. And although I'm not really on social media, I do still kind of try to tune into what's going on in the world because I'll find myself kind of just not tuned into the world if I'm not connected to social media. So I observed your journey and listened to a few of your kind of, I guess, like marketing messages that you had showcasing kind of your transition into coaching and what you can do for the millennial generation in itself, and kind of when you feel like you're in a rut, kind of what are the steps that you need to take to transition into that. And that was really the sparking moment for me to at least say, you know what, I think that I want to get to that place in my life at some point, but not necessarily having all of the tools that I thought I would, that I I just felt like I didn't have all the tools that I might have needed, and
Mm-hmm.
that maybe trying a coach might be a useful thing for me with the transitions that I wanted to take going forward, for sure. So that's really what sparked me into saying, let me at least consider this.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I started to think about furthering my goals into entrepreneurship, I stumbled upon a kind of a rock and a hard place, not knowing what to do, not having all the answers when I feel like I always have the answers, just feeling so confused, and was like, you know what? I can't be in this state anymore. And let me try this out and see if this will work. So that's really what prompted me into looking into a coach and looking to you as a potential coach for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I know you reached out a while ago, and then
Yes.
life happened, and
Yes.
then our paths crossed again, right?
I was I reached out to you when I felt like I had nowhere else to go. I feel like I froze just then, but
You're good.
am I still moving? Okay.
Mhm.
I just feel like that was the moment for me, like the turning moment for me to say, okay, you got to stop doing what you're doing, because whatever you think you're doing is not working. So you need to make a change. You need to ask for help. And that has always been the challenge. And we've gone through that within our journey, is me trusting people to ask for help and ask for the help when I need it. And that was just the turning moment for me. It was like I thought I could conquer the world by myself, and I can't. You can't conquer the world by yourself.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's really the story.
How do you feel about the lost time between like the first touch point that we had and then the second one where you're like, okay, I'm in?
hmm I think I was trying to do it on my own, which
Mhm.
I think in a sense I was getting there. I was definitely feel like I was making steps. I had got to the point where I was actually going to actually sign a contract, sign a deal, and or get to that point of signing, and then that went away because of the situation that I am currently in.
Mhm.
And so that was very emotional. I felt like I took a L, basically. Like it was definitely like I took a loss, and that was like, okay, I can't do this again, because it's just not going. I can't continue to do what I've been doing, right, basically.
Mhm.
And that was kind of the moment for me.
Got you. So let's carry that thread, talking about, doing what you've been doing. What would you say was your biggest struggle or frustration before beginning working with me?
Decision making,
Mm.
definitely. Just being able to talk out what exactly I want to do. What exactly are the desires of my heart, and how I want to show up in the world, and kind of what are the things that I really want to do, and really how to make the decisions for myself, because you can get caught up in your own head in a lot of ways, especially when you're juggling so many things, and definitely when you're spending a lot of your energy taking care of everyone else, and not necessarily putting the energy towards yourself.
Mhm.
It can make the decision making process very difficult. So definitely decision making.
Got you. And so it's definitely an investment to work with me,
Yes,
right?
yes, that's for sure. Don't get it twisted.
So,
That's, so yes,
so why did you say yes to the investment?
because I knew that. So whenever you make an investment, you always are hoping that you get a return on your investment. ROI is key. So in order to get anything out of anything, you have to invest. Either
Mhm.
it be your time, most people think it's money, whether it be the work that you put in, you're going to have to make an investment to get to where
Mhm.
you want to be. So
Mhm.
I realized that once I had that situation happen, I realized at that moment that was kind of like a turning point for me to say, I need to make this investment in order to get to where I'm trying to go. I want to get a return. I'm expecting a return on my investment for sure. Whether that be, it could be tangible, it could be not tangible. It worked out where I have somewhat of a tangible, outcome out of this. And I kind of have a direction of where I want to go after this. But definitely, when you realize that you are trying to make dreams come true, you're trying to go in a place that you've never been before. And like, it's just, it comes with the territory. When it's kind of one of those things. When and that was kind of the moment where it's like, okay, I want to make an investment on myself. I want a return on myself. And that's kind of how I thought about it.
Got you. What has been different about working with me? What would you say about that?
What I think is different. So one thing I think, kind of a misconception of coaching is, you think, oh, it's just because you see different types of coachings like in the media, and you think, oh, it's just another therapy session. And while I have practiced therapy before, I've never really necessarily practiced coaching. And so I understand coaching to be very different now that I've experienced it than therapy, because it helps me with I feel like it has helped me with my decision-making process in terms of what are the ambitions and goals that I have in the future, that I can talk to someone outside of my family or my close friends that are not necessarily going to quite understand, or be able to really have the time to try to listen and understand what I'm trying to do. And so that's what I think is different with a coach, to really help you go through that decision making process. If you are someone who has a lot of goals and ambitions, definitely having a coach. If you're just a decisive person, then that's fine. You kind of know what you're doing, that's fine. But for folks like me who just want a little bit of a push and need some accountability, and when you got a lot going on, sometimes you just need that other set of ears to kind of listen in. But still, you're still controlling the situation. It's just helpful to kind of just have someone just reassure you of what you're doing, what your goals are, things of that nature. That's what I would suggest. That's what I would say is different working with you than I have maybe with someone else that I might have worked in with the past, or even like a mentor. I worked with mentors in the past as well. This is just a little bit different in terms of just making sure you understand also, self-awareness, self-consciousness, and how you want to show up in the world. Those are the things that I've learned that, have been different throughout this process for me while working with you.
Love it. So now, if there's one thing I know about you, if whatever's on your mind is going to be let know, right?
Yeah.
So you
There's
ended up
no
being.
filter a lot of times.
So thankfully, I got thick skin, right? So you were in that same like frame of mind. At some point later into the engagement, you were like uber transparent with me that you actually were like leery about the process, probably working with me, all of that stuff, even though you knew me, right? And you kind of, that probably may have attracted you just because of the familiarity on the front end, but there was still something that kind of had you guarded, and you kind of let me in on that a little bit later. So what was that leeriness about, and what changed your mind?
I think the leeriness was just, the premise was behind just me not experiencing having a coach before. Okay. So I really was like not knowing what I was getting myself into, in a sense. And I think that's where that leeriness came. And also just, it's an investment, right? It's an investment, and it's not anything to play with. And so I think that's where the leeriness came from. And the one thing that I always carry is like that first couple of weeks, you were like, I had like 15 million things I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, how do I focus on this? And you're like, focus on one thing. And I'm like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I can do all of these things because that is who I am. And that's who I've always been. I can do all these things, and can't nobody tell me I can't do all these things. But then as we've gone through the process, focusing on one thing has been very lucrative in a sense. And we definitely have an outcome off of focusing on one thing. Even though I try to still focus on 2 or 3 things, that one thing definitely, there was an outcome out of that. And that's one of the things that I would say is kind of what changed my leeriness for sure. Like, that's when I had to really think through the process, when everything started to transpire the way that it did and the way that things happened for me so fast. I was like, you know what? This was a return on my investment, for sure. Like, you have to trust the process for real. Like, it will have you shaking in your knees, like, like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? And then now I see the light, and I see why it's very useful to have a coach when you have such a go-getter mentality and you want help with the decision-making process. And yeah, it just all happened right before my eyes. And now I trust it a way more, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in getting a coach. If you've never had it before, yeah, you'll still be leery. I'm not going to say that someone else may not still be leery, but trust the process, and you do the work, you will have an outcome that you've never even imagined before. And that's what I always tell you all the time. It's like, had I even put more into it, I definitely would have got more out of it for sure.
You're preaching real good over there. Well, you talk
Well,
about.
I'm not faking this. So this is real. This is really real. If it wasn't working, I would say it doesn't work for
Yes,
sure.
you would. But listen, you talk a lot about outcomes, right? So what's been an outcome of our work together that's happened or that you've experienced that you weren't expecting, but you're grateful for?
I would put it out there, but I'm not at liberty to speak to it right now.
Okay.
But definitely, I wish I could tell the world, because it's just miraculous in a sense, where this happened literally in the time frame that we were working together. And when you said focus on the one thing, that was the one thing you said to focus on for sure. Knowing my story, knowing what I was going through. And I put a lot of energy into that, not really expecting anything out of it, but it just all happened so fast. And I was able to transition where I wanted to go. Definitely, I guess I would say, outside of just being explicit into what has happened during this time frame, which is amazing. I'm super happy and excited about it. I think more so what I would say is I joined this coaching kind of relationship so that I can transition, so that I can show up in the world the way that I want to, in the way that I know I can, in the way that serves me and also serves others, without draining and putting my energy into everyone else, and not putting that back into myself and my future and who I am and who I want to be in the future, right? And so I'm transitioning into who that person is. Like, I'm transitioning into that next chapter, Pilanda, I guess Pilanda 5.0, 6.0. I'm transitioning into that next chapter, and I'm transitioning it in a way that will work for me, and it's going to change the world, right? I'm here to change the world. I think,
It
and
is
that
on
is all I
record.
have to say.
You heard it here. Okay.
Yes.
She is coming for everything that is in alignment with her and her purpose and that she wants, period. Unapologetically. And I'm so here for it. So what would you say has shifted for you as a result of working with me?
Definitely understanding, just being more self-aware of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, being self-conscious of myself, I feel like a lot has shifted, like health-wise, career-wise, family-wise. Like I feel like things have shifted in a way where I'm getting a return on my investment, for sure. Just aligning, make like I think what shifted is just my alignment with who I am and where I'm going. Right. Before, I didn't know where I was going. I was like, what am I doing? I was like at a state of emergency. I feel like when I gave you a call, I was like, I got to do something different than what I'm currently doing. I don't know what that different is, but now I know what that different is.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's just like a woosah kind of thing where I'm starting to understand that a whole lot better.
Got you. And so you kind of touched on it a little bit when you mentioned like the woosah feeling.
Hmm.
But when you think about the shifts, the many things that have shifted for you, what are some of the results of those shifts, if you can talk about them?
Definitely making sure I have a plan and a
Mhm.
plan that I can achieve.
Mhm.
I feel like now I know what my plan is. Like now, I think one of the key things too that we discovered during this process, it was like, I was like, is this me? No, this isn't me. This is my environment. And when you said that, that was key for me. Like realizing that my current environment was toxic in a sense. And I would say the result of this process is that now I'm transitioning in the future to an environment that won't be as toxic. I would say that would be a major result in my life. And that environment is also going to shape me to where I want and where I want to be and how I want to show up. I think the environment place was like big for me because it
Mhm.
was like I never even recognized that was the case. I'm always trying to figure out, okay, what can Pilanda do different? What can I do better? And the environment was the biggest one. I think that I resonated with the most and was like, you know what? I can change my environment. This can really happen. Let me focus on that. And so I would say that's the biggest result for me.
Mhm.
Um and definitely just being self-aware and self-conscious about, you know, what it is that I really want to do and doing a whole lot better with decision making. I understand decision making way better than what I did in the beginning. I still have a ways to go, but I think that decision making, environment, self-awareness is the three biggest ones for me.
Progress over perfection is the
Hmm.
name of the game. You have absolutely been doing the work. You have absolutely, and this is evidence of you continuing to show up for yourself, come hella high water. Like you have been present, you have been active, and you have been doing the thing. So this is what she's not saying. She's been doing the work. Okay. um, what would you say to someone who is presently in a similar circumstance to what you were at the beginning of our engagement, who has been on the fence, like thinking about working with me, kind of like doing that double dutch rock before you jump in the ropes, right? One
Yes,
halfway in, halfway out.
I've been there. I definitely have been there. I've probably been you and was thinking, you know what? I think this might work. I don't think this really will work. Or I think I can kind of do this on my own. Or I can use the people that I know, that my trusted, my board of advisors or my trusted advisors group, like your mother or your father or, your siblings or a close friend or just people, maybe a mentor you might have. I thought that that was going to work for me too. Like I even tried, my sister was like, sister, hold me accountable for this. Like, no, that was, that worked a little bit, but it wasn't enough. Like it wasn't like always feel like, okay, yeah, I can figure this out on my own. I can read and understand. That's not hard. But this was totally different. And I think that just having someone else to listen to what your ambitions and goals are, and helping you through the decision making process, I would say is going to change your life. While you think it may not, it will change your life. Like I said, I was still leery in the beginning. I was probably still leery even mid through. But I think now, with everything just just happening the way that it did, I now look back on it and I say, well, it's happening because I decided to make this decision for you to be my coach back 12 weeks ago. So, I mean, it is an investment, but you're going to get a return on your investment, and that's how I'm always going to think logically like that. So you're going to get a return on your investment, but you still have to put in the work. Like, don't get it twisted too. You're going to make an investment, but you're going to have to put in the work, and the more work you put into it, the more you will get out of it, for sure.
So well said. All right. Last question to take us out. What's one word that you would use to sum up your experience working with me? Is it hard?
Just I feel like I want to say multiple words, but miraculous. Because definitely miracles were happening. And I was like, okay, God, all right. You're hilarious. So yes, for me, that's my story.
Sure. I love to hear it, love to see it. And on that note, we are going to get out of here. Pete, thank you so much again for being a coach's dream client. Thank you for showing up the way that you did. Listen, this is just scratching the surface of the beginning of what's next for you. And you already know I'm over here in your cheering section, right?
Yes.
You can't get rid of me, okay?
Please don't.
We understand.
Don't be ignoring my calls.
With that being said, guys, we're going to sign off. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.